Good afternoon, Juan, coach. Juan Pablo Hernández from Caracol, Gol Caracol. Coach, before the previous match, you referred to the pitches and you said that they were too narrow. Today, we had the opportunity to see the one here, and it's truly narrow. It's actually 66 meter, 64-10. So even with your hands, you could actually throw the ball into the penalty area. So how complex could that be, considering Costa Rica's game plan against Brazil, that it's too closed in their own field? How can that make it hard for our national soccer team that wants to go through the flanks? And Juan, if there is this, do you think free kicks can play a very important role? Well, yeah, of course. I believe that this is one of our greatest strengths, and we need to adjust to the conditions, and we need to take the advantage of having our tall men in the team that are also very good. It is my understanding that the size of the pitches is the same for everyone, 64 by 100. We actually said that already. The fact that the pitch is narrow makes it easier for the team that is actually defending, but we need to find our ways into the penalty area, and we do have the soccer players to work it out and to try to find that. Juanfer, coach, good afternoon. Cristian Marin from Blue Radio. I would like to ask you about the forwards, and considering the team, there were 15 touches in 68 minutes for Borré, 8 in 22 for Cordova. Why is it so hard for our forwards in our national team? Why do they find it so hard to get in touch with the ball? And I have a question for Juanfer. A few minutes ago in the press conference, Alfaro, who's very familiar with the Colombia soccer team because he worked for Gol Caracol, he was saying that this team, Colombia's team today, is better than Peckerman's. You've been through every one of these stages, so we would like to hear your thoughts on that. I believe that everyone has their own view. If the coach says that, it's because he feels it like that. I believe it's very hard to draw a comparison because times have changed. We have experienced players, we have young players, and we have a very sound team, as we've been showing. We've been doing things right game after game, and I believe that this reflects in our performance and people see it. I'm extremely happy and proud to be part of this team. And I have a lot of dreams, big dreams. And this is a team that if it continues to do things right, we are going to have a very good outcome. And in terms of our forwards, it depends on the match, because in some games, they are not involved in making the game, in building up the game, which is when actually they get more in touch with the ball. But I am extremely pleased with both these players' performance, and in opening up these pathways, the movement of our forwards play a key role, actually. And as I said, I am extremely pleased with their work. Coach Carlos Gamboa with RCN. First to you, Coach Alfaro spoke very highly for Colombia's team and the work you've done in Miami. So could you please give us our opinion on Alfaro's team, considering that a few days ago he was criticized by the international media because of his defensive style? So what do you think of their game plan against Brazil? And for Juanfer, do you think there's a different ambience right now? Because, I mean, you've tried to win the Copa America so many times, but many Colombians feel this time is different for the team. We are trying to convey our goals and objectives. Of course, everyone dreams of it. but we are not among the favorites. We're just a team that is trying to do things right in the pitch and is trying to be a good contender. I think it's too fast to tell whether we will have a great outcome or not. We are very humble when the game starts, and this is actually our distinctive feature. Of course, we want to win, we want to be a very good contender, and we have an opportunity, of course. In terms of Alfaro's Costa Rica's team, Gustavo is great at strategy, and he is currently embarked in a growth process with his team. And the results actually are helping them gain confidence. And I'm sure that this is what he's seeking as well. I'm sure that he has the offensive instinct to hurt every contender, but prioritizing results, he tried to come up with a strategy that would allow him to get a good outcome. And I think he got a good outcome, and he even almost won the game. Sebastián Vargas from Caracol Radio. Coach, good afternoon. What can you tell us about Johannes Lukumi, and whether the high temperatures have changed your plans for Phoenix? Lukumi is currently in the process of recovering from a minor injury. Nothing serious though. And in terms of the heat, well, it's very tough to train. We are training very late, and we are trying to play it calmly to avoid our players from dehydrating. We're working on that, and the rules are the same for everyone. So we are trying to cope with it. Good afternoon. Jaime Dinas from Telepacifico and 101.9 FM Candela in Bogota. Initially for Juanfer, and after Juan's first response for the coach. Juanfer, sometimes soccer sends messages, and in Copa America this time it has delivered two messages. First of all, the surprise performance of Venezuela, and the second one that no one is estimating is the impact or the game of the Costa Rica's team against five-time world champion Brazil. What type of tactical game Jose Gabriel has been doing to counteract that? And you are actually angry because I called you a girl the other day, so you are taking it back on me, aren't you? Jose Gabriel, yeah, right.
No,
Jose Gabriel. Truth is that today we see every team competing strongly. Every national team is strong today, and especially during those 90 minutes, everything requires a different strategy from every national team, and everyone is doing their best. We know that there are no favorites here when it comes to playing. We are all alike, we are all even, and this is actually the way we think when it comes to starting a game. It's ball after ball, and whoever can make an advantage is going to win. So, Lorenzo Gagliardi, coach, there is something that has struck me as odd and is too positive for Colombia. You have Luis Diaz, you have actually decisive strikers, but the two goals in this Copa America have been by Daniel Munoz and Jefferson Lerma, two defenders. Does it reflect that your team has actually realized the idea that you have to have multiple alternatives in order to overcome your contenders' defense? Is it going to be ideal for the 5-4 game plan of Costa Rica? It's actually a very good alternative to have different players get to the penalty area or to the defining area. Of course, it is a problem for our opponent and a better alternative for us, but ideally, football should be built up from the goalkeeper through the back wings, and then to the midfielders, then to the center forward, and that'd be ideal, actually. But we been able to realize that vision at times, and sometimes we can't. But I believe that at the end of the day, what is important is that we have options and that we are filling every space. Tomorrow is going to be a game about opening ways, and the whole team needs to be working on that, not only our forwards. Good afternoon for everyone. Diego Savioleu from Deportes Sin Tapujos in Cali. So, Coach Lorenzo, what do you think of your opponent? What is your notion of Alfaro and your opinion of Costa Rica? I'm sure that you saw the game against Brazil, but what is your integral opinion of Costa Rica? So could you tell us about the tactics in Friday's games? Because I believe that Quinteros, Juan Fernando, you have been with other coaches that have a different vision. So what are the most distinctive features with this squad? Because the country is actually hoping that you will make it far in this Copa America. What differences do you see? Well, actually, I believe that we have plenty of alternatives, and that makes the squad stronger and unpredictable when it comes to playing a game. We know what the plan is. We know our alternatives if the game, if the match gets longer. This is the message that we've heard loud and clear, and that everyone can help, both starters and subs. I believe that our team is good at competing. We are at ease with the playing the match. We have the weapons. We just need to execute. In terms of Costa Rica, I believe that they are waging a good battle. As I said, they are going through a formation process. They had some generational change that was difficult for them, but Alfaro has done a good job in consolidating this squad with these young players that are going to play a key role in the future. And it's actually a very tough match for us. We need to be aware. Coach Juanfer Liche Duran for ESPN Colombia. Juanfer, over the last few days, we heard Coach Lorenzo say that in this national team there are not starters and subs, that everyone is a starter, whether they play 95 minutes or not 1 minute. How do you feel, and how have you felt this competition for being a starter? And what can you say about the Heat, particularly in the training sessions here in Houston, and what do you expect for the rest of the tournament? And for Coach Lorenzo, in the previous press conference, we said that there had been some distractions, and sometimes when they were beating 4-0, they could get distracted, but you wanted them to feel winners. How have you worked on that so that they know that from scratch they need to start fighting this opponent that are going to close up every space and try to preclude the Colombia's national team from playing their dynamic game? The truth is that we are always competing because we all care about our country and we want to do well by our flag and by our nation. We have a very well seasoned technical team. We know that they understand how every soccer player is playing before the match, and they base their decisions on that. We know that every one of us can contribute to winning a match, and we need to be prepared for whatever we need to play, whether it's 10, 15 minutes. The last match I played 5 minutes, and I felt pleased because my team won, the national team won, and that's what matters. And in terms of the Heat, we have experienced professionals, people that understand the conditions. They've studied it before we got here, and we are trying to get as well prepared as possible before the team, getting hydrated. We have our doctors, and that makes us feel confident about it. So once again, in terms of our opponent, I believe we are underestimating this opponent, and we are not. If it were a team that I'm sure that are going to pull back and defend themselves, I wouldn't be concerned about that. I am concerned about other things, their change of attitude at times. It's a team that has actually been able to pull up other game strategies, other plays. We've seen that in other friendlies, in the games with Brazil. So it's a team that is actually going to wage a good battle. They are not going to just defend themselves. Coach Juanfer, Valentina Peña for W Radio. First to the coach. Costa Rica is the youngest squad, not only in Copa America, but also in the Eurocup, 24 years only. So do you think that the experience of certain players can be an advantage to Colombia in this case? And Juanfer, I'm going to ask you about Yasser Asprilla. It's his first tournament with Colombia's national team. So how has that been, this relationship with Janser, trying to support him along this process? Truth is that we have some contradictory feelings because he reminds me of my early stages, and James and I are always talking a lot to the rest of the team because we believe that it's our present and future, and they are going to give great joy to our country. And this is great because when I was 20 years old, I played my first World Cup. And let me say it once again, I feel reflected in what he's doing right now. And I'm sure that he's a soccer player that is going to be a great source of joy to Colombia. He listens, he's level headed, and I'm absolutely certain that he's going to be a source of joy for Colombia. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, this generational changing in Costa Rica, that it is a young squad full of energy, which is good. And we will need to be patient, and we need to understand that they are going to be physically very strong because they are very young, and we need to try to see how we can make a difference. It's not an easy team. I want to make it very clear. It's going to be a very tough game for us. Coach Lorenzo, special greetings for Quintero as well, Eduardo Luis from Win Sports. Coach, there are many theories in the world of soccer, like, for instance, a winning team makes no changes. So, Coach, are you going to make any changes? I'm sure that you're not going to respond to that because we know the way you work. But what is your opinion about changing? Because, for instance, if a team is using three center forwards or five defenders, it's more comfortable to play with a double nine. What do you think about that? Or do you think that your usual game plan is ideal to face this kind of opponent? So would you be open to making any changes based on that? And for Juan Quinteros, in the last press round, the coach said that there was something he liked and something he didn't like, and he was going to talk about that. And it's like we are always playing 4-0. So did you get together as well to say, like, I don't know, we need to speed up our game or something like that? So, well, sometimes the way you perform in the match is sort of unconscious. Sometimes you cannot control the way you feel. There are sometimes that you just need to bear with it because the opponent makes it very hard for you at times. Soccer, football is very competitive today, so that plays at an unconscious level. We have lots of self-awareness. We watch our videos, and our humility, being aware to acknowledge your faults and moving forward and overcoming them is very valuable. We know this is hard. It's hard to play perfectly, but we try to grow at all times, and we are aware of that. No, I still need to respond myself. Last match, I think we talked a little bit about the versatility and our capacity to adjust to different systems. And I even said you can move the pieces around in any form you can or want when you have the ball. But when you don't have the ball, you need to adjust to the game plan that your opponent is proposing. That is why I believe that part of the growth of our team has to do with that flexibility, that capacity to adjust to different situations and to work with wingers if with the 11 players that we have on the pitch. And of course, there are certain game plans that are better for some opponents, but everything is about trying to strike a balance, and that's why we are thinking of it at all times. Javier Rodriguez, Confan TV, Coach Lorenzo. The coach that you are going to tackle actually was one of the opponents that led Colombia to one of the most painful defeats in its recent history. So, how does it feel to face an opponent that knows the team so much? And to add up to Valentina's question, Juan Fernando, I want to ask you, you're a young person, but you've been with the national team for a very long time by now. So, what is your message to those youngsters that are going to actually take the baton for James and everyone else? Well, actually, the message is clear. Playing football is the most beautiful thing we have. Of course, we have the great responsibility of representing our country, and we need to make our country happy, and we need to let it flow as naturally as we can. So responsibility carries many pressures. We just want to let it flow because I believe that it's talent that has brought us here. And of course, we need to abide by certain standards, not only inside the pitch, but also outside. I believe that this is the clear message that we've shared with them, because I personally have been with the national team for 12 years now. And this is the basis of our behavior and our soccer inside the field. Well, the preparation for the match is as with any other opponent, considering what they've been doing lately and trying to forecast what they can do to make us uncomfortable. And we are aware that Alfaro knows Colombia very well, and that is an advantage to him. But we also have an interpretation of what he's been doing and what they can offer in the match against us to try to work out situations as they arise. So in that case, we're preparing as we would prepare against any other opponent, trying to overcome every one of our weaknesses and highlight our strengths, and trying to exploit their weaknesses and neutralize their strengths. So good afternoon to every one of you. Coach Néstor, Juan Fernando. My name is Octavio Mora Gómez from RCN Radio, Proyecto Fútbol Visitante de la Patria, and Octavio Mora Deportes channel. Coach, you are always looking at the details. You are seeking excellence and perfection in every little thing. So, in certain friendlies and some official matches, our national team would actually grant certain advantages in the first minutes, and then they would adjust to the game. Already here at Copa America, in the second half for 15 minutes, we believe that we offer certain advantages. So how can we do in order to maintain a high performance in terms of the game, accuracy, finalizing and everything? And Juan Fernando, we've asked this question to many players, but not you personally. So I believe that in Colombia, we can say that some are being overly optimistic because they are so hopeful with the performance of the national team. So do you think that places a huge burden on you? Well, the truth is that excessive optimism has been there in one way or another when there are good results, as criticism as well. We cannot isolate ourselves from our context. We are extremely balanced from a psychological viewpoint. We are very level headed and we're trying to let it flow regardless of what's happening outside. Some of us are very experienced, and the others know what our strategy is, and we are all aware that we have not yet accomplished anything with our national team for many years now. We have the ambition to do things right, and this is our driver. This is a very special moment because this tournament is an opportunity to show off our skills, and this is what we're trying to do game after game. Matches have 90 minutes, 100 minutes, and sometimes from the initial plan to the end of the match, everything changes. Your initial plan changes, the system, the strategy, even the players on the pitch and the characteristics. And there's no such thing as a perfect match. It would seem that when we lose control of the ball, we're doing things wrong. And I don't know, potentially our opponent read us better and gains control of the match for 10 minutes. I mean, that's one of the possibilities. There are two teams on the pitch, and you cannot plan for your team without considering the other team's response. It has happened to us in certain matches that we lost control for a couple of minutes and then we managed to bounce back. And this will continue to happen because we've seen many matches in Copa America that are very even, and the first half goes to one team and the second one goes to the other, and we're no exception to that rule. I know that we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of work, a lot of growth ahead of us, but we need to learn to manage the timing. But there are 11 players from the opponent side that are also giving their best. Good afternoon, Jaime Caballero from La Voz de los Centauros, Noticias Ya en la polémica del deporte llanero. Coach, the press office of the Federation delivered some autographs of the soccer players, and we thought it was a very nice gesture. And there are so many fans. I mean, you just walk around, and this is crowded with Colombians. I'm not going to talk about soccer because I think you've already said it all. So, how do you feel that at the in the intimacy of the team, to see so many people hopeful, so many people cheering, rooting in so many stadiums in the United States? And Juanfer, to add to that, we heard actually Doña Lina, and they were talking with such love for you, such love for soccer. So how does a soccer player experience feels that? You're gonna get him all moved. Well, it's actually very nice when you arouse those feelings, when you get to feel the love for the country, the love for what we are as well, because I think this goes beyond us being soccer players. It's a great motivation, and with the soccer player, want to thank every Colombian for their support. I believe that we've also always valued your work, and I think this goes both way. When you recognize our work, that is rewarding to us, our too, and we as well as our families feel extremely proud to represent our country, and we are happy that we are here, and I hope the future has a great joy in store for us. Well, we are moved by that. We like it. And I believe that a great deal of the motivation for this squad comes from our fans' illusion that is also shared by our soccer players. So, as I said earlier, this is football. So the only thing we can promise is that we're going to give our best and we're going to do everything the best we can. Thank you very much. With that, we end Colombia's press conference.